I wholly endorse the idea of arming Ukraine to defeat the Russian aggression. That's not the question. But the contrast with the way that Israel is being dealt with, and the way in which the administration is willing to box in Israel in the military tactics that it uses to try and defeat an enemy which repeatedly attempts genocide against it, is extraordinary. And I think a lot of people think it's a new low for the Biden administration to be doing this.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with Editor-in-Chief Hugo Gurdon. Hugo, President Joe Biden made waves this week when he drew a red line saying if Israel executes on its plan to go into Rafah, the United States will withhold security support to Israel. What's been the fallout like of that announcement?
Well, the fallout is big, and it's going to get bigger. I think Republicans on Capitol Hill are enraged with what the president said. And indeed, I think it's right that they should be, because although it is not unusual for America to condition the supply of arms on certain uses for that, they do that with various allies, there is a very strong feeling that Joe Biden is abandoning one of our closest allies and the only decent country in the Middle East, the only democracy and a staunch ally in the Middle East, because he is caving to what is essentially election year Hamas propaganda, and that he is saying to Bibi Netanyahu and the Israeli government, you can't go into this city and take out the 4 Hamas brigades that are there, because of all these human shields, which is exactly what Hamas wants him to say.
How can Biden credibly make the case that sort of unlimited aid to Ukraine is a moral obligation because Russia is an evil foe, but the United States doesn't have that same sort of moral obligation because of the nature of the foe against the ally in Israel? Yeah,
it's a very good question. You have to believe that, again, there are election year politics that come into it. Russia is held up as the evil foe, which it is, but it's easier for the Democratic president to do that because over the course of Donald Trump's presidency and since, Putin has been very strongly associated, Russia has been very strongly associated with supposed Donald Trump favor.
Right.
Therefore, Russia is axiomatically and in all respects entirely evil. Therefore, the country that Russia invaded must be given unlimited supplies, etc., etc. Now, I wholly endorse the idea of arming Ukraine to defeat the Russian aggression. That's not the question. But the contrast with the way that Israel is being dealt with, and the way in which the administration is willing to box in Israel in the military tactics that it uses to try and defeat an enemy which repeatedly attempts genocide against it, is extraordinary, and I think a lot of people think it's a new low for the Biden administration to be doing this.
Talking about election year politics, this is exposing some divisions among Democrats, and you talked about the perception that Biden is caving to the far left. That perception exists, not just with Israel, but on illegal immigration. On a number of different fronts for Joe Biden. Does he risk a broader electoral blowback for reinforcing this perception that he's catering to a far left faction of the Democrats?
Yes, I think that he is running that very grave risk. I think that the suburban middle class who moved toward Biden and against Trump in 2020 look at the campus little Gazas and the extremism there. They look at the record number of illegal immigrants flooding across the border and the absurd suggestions and denials by the administration, the denial that the border is open and the absurd suggestion that border security is fine. And they realize that the Biden administration is asking them to believe what they are told rather than their lying eyes. And I think that there are election consequences for that, and Biden is really running the risk. Obviously, different polls produce results which on likely voters, on overall popularity, etc. But this looks like being a very tight election, and Biden is trying to thread a needle, and it's very difficult for him to do.
Well, Hugo, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more reporting from Hugo and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.